Greetings, magical mages and spiritual sages, and all the listeners out there. This is Age of the Mage, podcast episode 25, and we're going to talk a little bit about power. Power that you have, that's with you every day, that maybe we forget. We have. It surrounds us, and we begin to take things for granted, and maybe not even realize how powerful some of these traits that we carry around with us all the time really can be and really are. So I want to start with the idea that we're so used to working with our physical bodies. We're in a 3D realm, and it makes perfect sense because when we do something physically, we are able to see immediate responses from that. If we wave to somebody and they see us, we get an immediate feedback loop. We are validated that when we sent out the energy to greet someone through a wave, that was received and sent back to us. And so that's a pretty important part of feeling confident about what you can do, what your abilities are, is when you get some kind of feedback loop or you get a level of validation about something. This raises our confidence, and it also makes the thing we're considering seem more real and seem more tangible because it is more clear that something just took place, something just happened, and that was confirmed for us. So dealing with this 3D world, as much as we do, really tends to make us forget how close we are to so many invisible worlds and other types of dimensions and hidden realms where even deeper powers lie and even more expansive styles of power may exist. When we deal with our physical power, we are limited to what our body can do at any current time. And we're all in different phases. If we have some kind of physical challenge or handicap, we may decide we're not so powerful because we don't see ourselves competing with bodies who are stronger or more in shape or doing more things like progressing on some kind of athletic challenge. And so we forget, we tend to downplay that we are powerful. And it's just not the case because what we have surrounding us is truly where our power lies. And that is inside and outside of ourselves is a field that holds all the essence of our soul, and it holds our intelligence, it holds our emotions. This field is made up of so many different aspects, and it extends beyond us. It extends beyond our physical body and our physical presence. Now some people might refer to this as an aura, an auric field. There are astral fields. There are etheric fields. There's various levels of dimensions and frequencies that occur in dimensions that support different types of bodies, let's say, different types of projections of yourself. And so we can access all these various fields. But today I want to talk about the one that's around you all the time, that it's maybe the easiest to visualize and the easiest to comprehend. And that is this auric field, this space just beyond your physical body that houses your feelings, and it holds your emotions, and it conveys and transmits your emotions and your thoughts. And this extends, I would say, typically a few feet around you and extends out. Sometimes it's more than that, and sometimes it's less. It depends on what is going on for you at the time. But generally speaking, this space, this magical space, it just goes wherever you go, and it can be accessed all the time, but we forget about it. We are so used to it being there. We don't know another way to live. We're a little bit like a fish in a fishbowl, and we know our own fishbowl so well that we forget it's there. And so we tend to underestimate, perhaps, what we could do by examining this field more and learning how to manipulate the energies there, and not in a negative way, but in a way that would help us. And we can learn how to use the field so that it conveys and transmits our intentions in back out, not only to other dimensions, but we can learn how to make this field magnetic so that it receives things from our 3D space, material things, and brings those things to us. So there's quite a bit that we can do with this field that is with us all the time. And that is what I want us to think about today, one part of how much power we're really walking around with. Unfortunately, history has shown us that there's various agendas that exist in our world for various reasons. And some of these include downplaying our power or convincing us that we're not very powerful. In many ways, we could be discredited, we could be humiliated, we could be ostracized. People who are very materialistic might gain positions of expertise and power and convince us, perhaps through scientific communities and other places, that there are no other powers outside of what we can see, hear, and feel, and taste and smell. Our five senses, to those people, define our boundaries and define our reality. Now, as magicians and spiritual workers and galactic star seeds, and all of you, dear audience, we are far more aware than maybe some people that our physical world is only the tip of the iceberg. It's a very small part of our existence. Our soul is boundless and endless and stretches way beyond our physical restraints of our current bodies. And our mental capacities they exceed what can be housed in an organic brain. So we are very aware of our different types of power and the different aspects that make us up. And then I think we're also aware of dimensions being multi dimensions exist instead of just one. Instead of just our earth that we can see and feel and walk upon, we know through our dreams, through our experiences, through our magical and spiritual practices, we know that we actually can be in touch with a variety of dimensions and many different realms, and that reality is multi-layered and much more complex than some would have us believe. And so we can gain power and use power not only in our 3D space, but in all these other dimensions as well. And one of the easiest ways to do this, again, falls back to understanding more about this etheric space that surrounds you all the time. This is a place to work. This is a place to learn. This is a place where we can absorb anything that we ask for. This space, this electromagnetic, etheric field can do a multitude of things, can do anything really. And so no matter how restricted you might feel due to physical limitations, or other types of limitations, I want to remind us all through this particular podcast that that is an illusion, that our power is vast, every one of us. And it depends upon our interaction and our belief system with regards to this space. Power can be enhanced and expanded if we trust that that is the case. If we start to experience things like we do in the physical world, when we receive validation that our intentions are bringing us what we want, we can do the same by practicing that our intentions that are only etheric in nature or mental or emotional in nature will also bring what we want. And this takes practice, this takes fine tuning. But the point that I'm making is that this is present for everyone. This is just as much a part of your earth incarnation as your body is. You're not separate from this field. This field is walking around with you all the time. And it is there to do as you command. It is there to be as you wish. Now, the reason it doesn't operate that way, there's a variety of reasons, of course, but I think one of the main reasons is that we have not been taught that it's there. We haven't been told, except through maybe magical training and some spiritual work, that it's even there to tap into. And so what we do most of the time is we utilize it through our subconscious. And we utilize it in times of dreams and altered states where we are not able to bring the full knowledge of what it is back to our consciousness. So once we can do that, once we begin to understand this field in a much more holistic sense, and we allow for it, we believe in it, we know it exists, we're past that hurdle of doubt. And we know that we carry this field wherever we go and that it encircles us. This is the beginning step to stepping into our power. This is truly where we begin the magical journey. And it is there for every one of us. I don't believe there is a sentient being that doesn't have this. There may be beings and entities that do not use this in ways we would use it. There's different types of energy that this space can convey or can house, can support. And that's up to the being that is in charge of it. And so I am not saying that this space they all look alike or they all can do the same things. No, what I am saying is that each of us has this space and we can interact with it in a much more conscious manner than we normally do. This space can give us access to the powers I believe we were born to have. When you think of, there's so many ways to think of this precious field, and one of them is to remind yourself that it surrounds you, and wherever you go, when you bump into someone, that field is extending and bumping into that person's field, or a plant's energy field, or in animals. These fields extend around all living things. And so you're actually transferring energy and receiving energy all the time when you are in the company of something alive. Even this is a powerful concept that's so easy to forget because it's not always visual, is it? It's not always apparent. Now, empaths and telepaths, they might be far more aware of this because their sensitivity is so heightened that every time something bumps into the outer edges of their field, their boundary, they feel it. They get it, and they feel this shift occur in their private space. And that can throw them off. That can be overwhelming at times, but it exists. And because they are here to live out their own purpose, and for some reason the heightened awareness is part of their purpose and their destiny, they will go through these experiences of being more aware. But all of us can heighten our awareness to this simply by recognizing it's there and we don't want to discredit ourselves. There's so many people willing to do that for us, aren't there? We don't need to do it. We don't need to add to that energy. But when you go out and you sense something, we need to start honoring these feelings because this is something coming into our field. Whether it is a long distance, a projectile of a thought or an emotion, whether it's a nearby kind of absorption or osmosis from nearby energies, we can start to become aware that this is happening to us pretty consistently. If we're isolated in a home without any other living beings, then this might happen less often. This bumping into uh, other fields of energy might happen less often because this basic thing that I'm addressing today has to do with proximity. But the actual power that lies within this field doesn't depend on proximity. Your thoughts, your emotions can reach through, there is no time or space that's really tied to those things. And that's another step, that's a deeper step into the power that is really, truly yours for the taking. So I wanted to just bring up that we all can do more than we believe we can do. We can manifest more, we can change more, we can have more, we can affect more things in our world than we typically believe we can. Not only is our physical body housing our emotions and some of our thoughts and beliefs that become desires and become intentions, but here we all are gifted with this kind of crucible of creation that's walking around with us all the time. And we want to spend more time. We want to go forward and learn about working within this field because this is where the magic is. That's why I tend to say things like magic is all around you all the time because it truly is. The fields that magic and spirit and soul, the fields that those things operate in are surrounding you all the time. There's really no escaping them. You can't separate or segregate yourself from those fields. It's very difficult. I believe even people who have chosen some kind of extreme path that has separated them from perhaps their original field, they very likely are still working within another type of etheric field. This is just part of all of us, and it just remains invisible for the most part. But if we could see it, we would see it all the time. Just like when we reach out or stretch out our hand, we see our hand in the field of our vision. If we had the same frequency, if our vision was designed to show us that this particular field I'm talking about, we would see it all the time, just as we see other things in our physical domain. So we're going to go forward and we're going to do a lot with this field. And we're going to be able, as magicians and as spiritual workers, to refine our skills, come to understand this field more thoroughly, access it more easily, and really work with it, really bring it into our lives, just as we rely on our hands and feet or our breathing or whatever our physical body is giving to us. We're going to learn we are already relying on this field, so let's get to know it. Let's get working with it because it offers the key. It offers the secrets to all manner of success. When I say power, what I truly mean is freedom and sovereignty, because isn't this the truth about power? Yes, there's concepts that might involve controlling, the concept of control being tied to power. Like, I want to control that person over there. I want to levitate that book right off the desk by compelling it to move through unseen powers. Now, those things can be done as well. But what brings true happiness and true contentment and joy is that you have accessed your power in such a way that you can manifest whatever you desire, and you have the wisdom to know what your true desires are, because they are not always the first things we reach for. So all this ties in to knowing thyself, having a compass that you begin to work with that is guiding you towards fulfilling your highest and best destiny. And when you get these things all working together, power falls into place. The powers you are meant to have reveal themselves. And you will learn how to use all those powers. So let's move forward. No more doubting. We are full of power. We have all the power we need. Now we just need to allow ourselves to claim it, allow ourselves to use it, and allow ourselves to refine our skills, get better at using it and understanding it. And that's my message for today. I'm wishing for all of us that our connections to our true power will emerge, because we're going to need these connections. We are going to lead and help others. We're going to help shift our human race onto the most beneficial and benevolent of timelines. And we will need to rely on the powers that we come to know and come to be able to work with to the best of our abilities. It's very important we do this. It's time to do this. It will help us as individuals, and it will help those that are around us, and it will help our world. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back shortly, and we will dive deeper into more of these concepts very soon. Much love to all, and bye for now.